Ooh, it smells good. Hey everyone, I'm hoping to bring you more into my gardening adventures because doing this distancing thing has made me feel even more close to my flowers and plants. As I mentioned in previous videos, I've been working on creating a cut flower garden, and today I thought it would be a great opportunity to give you a mini tour as I harvest flowers from around the garden. I'll be making a couple of arrangements at the end of the video, so be sure to keep watching. I also want to get your vote on which arrangement you like most, so be sure to watch and to vote in the comments. Today's video was inspired by Mark Sardi's introduction to arranging that he posted on his Instagram. Honestly, his arrangements look like real still life paintings. It's quite stunning. So first stop in the yard is the Rocket Series Snapdragons that my partner started from seed. If you watched my previous video on sweet peas, you'll have seen the Snapdragons kind of peeking in and out throughout the video. As a general reminder, flowers will do better if cut on an overcast or cooler day and in the morning. But because it's me and I can't be bothered, I did this in the afternoon on a day that we broke record heat in Austin at 91 degrees. So we're still in March, and I'm a little worried about what's to come in the summer, but that's every year at this point. Anyway, these Snapdragons are really easy to grow from seed. They grow quickly too, and they develop these long, nice stems, which are really perfect for arrangements. They're a mixture of reds, yellows, and shades in between, so they're nice for an arrangement that would require hot colors. To harvest them, you'll want to follow the stem all the way down to the bottom and cut there, so that new branches will emerge from that point and be strong and vigorous. I had one anemone flowering, so I also snagged that too. I bought the little corms from Floral and they've been fine, but nothing that impressive so far. But I think it's partly my fault for overcrowding the bed. I planted them with my sweet peas and that probably wasn't the best idea, but I still have a few flowers and I'm making use out of them. Next up are sweet peas. And now I'm using sweet peas that I really didn't feature much in my previous sweet pea video. These ones kind of emerged a little later. They weren't flowering all that much in the video, but now they're really picking up the pace. And I love the soft pink color. One thing I learned from the video is that you can also cut whole branches from the sweet pea plant and use the foliage in your arrangement. It also seems to kind of keep the flowers alive a little bit longer, because sweet peas don't really have the longest vase life. Anyway, that's exactly what I'll be doing here. Also, cutting some of the foliage will help keep this monster in check. You know, I'm also thinking if I can use this kale in my arrangement. I have a few bells of Ireland going in a bed that I've really neglected. It was covered in weeds, and I finally spent a couple hours weeding them a few weeks ago. Even in the weeds, the bells of Ireland did well. I love the flowers a lot because green flowers are really intriguing to me. So I started them from seed in the fall. This was direct sow. They wintered over easily and now they're developing their curious green flowers. They have pretty attractive foliage as well, so I'll be keeping that for the arrangement. Oh, and I guess I made a little friend too. I need to collect a few more Snapdragons from another part of my backyard before I move to the front. Next to the Snapdragons is a large calendula that's been flowering for a couple months. Unfortunately, the stems are not nearly tall enough to be used in arrangements, but the flowers are still quite appealing and the bees just go nuts for them. I'm just gonna snip a few of these little yellow Snapdragons here, and they are from the same mix as before. Anyway, let me snip a few of these yellow Snapdragons. You better get that vitamin D because I've been inside way too long. Perfect, now let's go to the front. Now for a burst of color. Welcome to my own little flower meadow, full of poppies and bachelor's button. I started these in the fall and now they're really rewarding me with an incredible display. This is definitely my favorite part of the garden right now, even if it is a median and even if it does have a stop sign coming out of it, even though I'd like to remove that. Still, I think now more than ever, people need to be in touch with nature, and especially as they go on their walks. These are simple Flanders poppies that do well in Central Texas. So in previous years, I've tried other varieties of poppies, including the Oriental poppy, the California poppy, and even the Iceland poppy. And I feel like I'm saying poppy a lot, but this variety right here, this kind of common field poppy, has definitely done the best for me. And check out all this pollen too that the bees have really been loving. I think these poppies aren't traditionally used as cut flowers, but I'm taking a risk and attempting to use them anyway. If you've ever dealt with cut flower poppies, you'll know that they drop their petals quickly. That's why I brought a lighter to singe cuts, which is something I learned from Mark's video. Unfortunately, it was a bit too windy to do that outside, so I had to bring them inside to seal the cut. The bachelor's button, or bachelor's buttons, I used here were a tall variety geared for cut flowers. If you've grown bachelor's button, you'll know that they tend to be shorter than this. So this variety has been a real joy. If you're interested in learning how I created this meadow, please be sure to tell me. This could definitely be my next video because I've learned a lot through the process of building it. At one point, I was definitely attempting to grow some Scabiosa Isaac House variety, but that was last year and I really don't know how these ended up here along with the more common variety of Scabiosa I have. But for what it's worth, it seems like they're easy to grow from seed. Anyway, snip! I also snagged one of my delphinium blooms. I'm very protective of my delphiniums and don't like to cut their flowers because they're really a stunning electric blue color that I like to enjoy in the garden, but I snipped it just for you, and well, and me. Finally, I'm rounding it out with some daffodils that are remaining. I have another flush of daffodils starting soon, but this is probably the last blooms I have from the original group that flowered. Back inside, I was able to sear the edges of the poppies, but maybe it was too late. Check these babies out, Luna. All right, so it's been about an hour since I harvested all these flowers. As you can tell, I'm losing some of the poppies. That's kind of to be expected. I don't know. Hopefully they'll pull through. All right, so what I wanna do now is kind of clean up the flowers and take off like dead branches or excess foliage. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. Okay, I kind of like that structure, even though the buds are a little dead. I think it's kind of interesting. And I'm gonna leave a couple leaves right here. I'm going to keep the length of the stem right now as it is, and then as I'm kind of arranging, I can always cut it then. So the ones that are going to need the most trimming are going to be these snapdragons right here. So I'm gonna start working on them. And now we got that nice long stem right there. That's perfect for putting it in an arrangement. So I've read in the floret books to wait a little bit after you've harvested your flowers before you start arranging them so that they can kind of uptake some water and recover from the process of getting snipped. So I'm gonna change the angle of the camera so you can get a better idea of what I'm doing over here. So again, I'm removing some of the excess foliage down here that I don't really need. Sometimes you can basically rip it off like that. It comes off really easily. And sometimes the branches are a little more solidified and you have to use snips. Of course, all these scraps would be good for a compost bin. Unfortunately, I do not have one. It's on the list, so I'll get there. All I'm gonna do for these bachelor buttons are remove the spent heads right here. And I'm just going down to one of the junctions or the nodes, because I still really like the foliage. Okay, for the bells of Ireland, I really like the foliage a lot. The only ones I'm going to remove here are going to be the bottom leaves at the bottom because those are going to be submerged inside the vase. And I think that's all I'm gonna do. Just clean up the bottom a little bit. All right, so they are trimmed up and I think I'm ready to start arranging. I think I wanna make 2 arrangements so we can kind of see which ones we like more after we're done. So let's get started. I also added some purple sweet peas over here in case you see those and you didn't see them in the video earlier. I may be adding more of anything you see here, just in case. I might need more. Okay, so I have my 2 vases right here. This one I did make, and I want it to be with more cool colors to kind of complement the cobalt that I used right here. And this one is just from West Elm, so this will be more like, you know, simple kind of minimalist colors. So let me get started on this one right here. And one of the things I learned from Mark's videos is that he uses a floral frog on the bottom, and then on top of that he adds some chicken wire, and it's actually through the chicken wire that you're able to kind of arrange your flowers in the way that you want. So I don't have any chicken wire, but I did basically have a bunch of extra wire kind of lying around, so I just kind of mushed it into a weird position and I'm gonna kind of use that. So hopefully I'm kind of breaking some rules, being a little DIY, but it's what I have around the house. So that looks great in there. It's gonna really help with the very top heavy snapdragons. So speaking of, I think we should move straight to that. And just to emphasize, I'm a gardener that's doing arrangements, not a florist that's gardening. So there's a difference. Okay, I like where it's going. I like the color combinations. I just need a lot more of these plants. So I'm gonna go out and harvest a few more and then I'll bring them back in and add them to the arrangement. Okay, I think it's done. I'm not even gonna try with any more poppies because they are dropping their petals like crazy. So I'm gonna put this one away for now and then we're gonna start on the next one. We'll keep this simple and call this arrangement 1. Next up, I decided to make a brighter, cheerier arrangement using predominantly yellows, greens, and pinks. This felt more like a springtime arrangement and one that would do well in a bright room. So let's keep the sequence going and call this, you guessed it, arrangement 2. Now here's where I want your vote. Do you like arrangement 1 more? If you do, make sure you vote in the comments. Or perhaps arrangement 2 is more your taste? Again, if it is, make sure to vote in the comments. As always, I'm happy to share part of my gardening experience with you, even as many of us are practicing distancing. I'm hoping that today's video brought you a little closer with the beauty that surrounds us. If you liked this video, share it with someone, and of course, subscribe so you can be the first to know when I post new videos. Because people, I have time on my hands, so expect more videos! Thank you again.